Welcome back to the Aesthetic Business Masters podcast, where we bring you conversations with the innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs shaping the future of the aesthetics industry. Today's guest is an accomplished businesswoman, educator, and industry leader whose passion for skin health and practitioner success has helped transform the way many clinics approach skin rejuvenation. Joining us is Renée Altakrity, founder and master educator of SQT Australia. Renée's journey began in cosmetic tattooing before expanding into advanced skin treatments and education. Through her extensive background in leadership, business management, project management, finance, and human resources, she identified a gap in the industry for stronger education, support, and innovation. That vision led to the creation of SQT Australia, a company dedicated to providing clinics with advanced biomicroneedling technology, education, and ongoing support that empowers practitioners to achieve exceptional client outcomes. Renée is also recognised for her commitment to innovation, including pioneering the integration of PRF into fibroblast aftercare protocols and championing natural skin regeneration solutions that deliver results without harsh chemicals or invasive procedures. Today we'll be discussing entrepreneurship, innovation, education, leadership, industry trends, and what it takes to build a successful business in aesthetics. Renée, I am so excited to have you today on the Aesthetic Business Masters podcast.
Thank you. I am too, Nicole. Thanks very much for having me.
So I'd love if you could start at the beginning and tell us about your journey into the aesthetics industry and what attracted you to this field.
Yeah, sure. Look, I've always been passionate, Nicole, about helping people, but my path into aesthetics wasn't exactly planned from the beginning. But what was planned was that I always knew that I'd be a business owner, building something meaningful and also leading others into success. But I started out in cosmetic tattooing, and that actually gave me that foundation in client care, consultations, managing expectations of clients, and also understanding the emotional side of transformations. And it taught me that people aren't just coming to us for a treatment, right? They're actually coming to us because they want to feel better about themselves. And I also suffered with acne in my teens, and I know how the real skin struggle can feel, the emotional toll that it can have, which really set the stage for my passion with skin.
It's so interesting. So many practitioners, clinicians, therapists all have their own unique personal journey when it comes to the industry. And with your, personal struggles with acne and skin conditions, how much did your skin journey influence the treatments and the work that you do now today?
Yeah, look, I think my struggles with acne had that impact because it really affected my confidence growing up. And when you've experienced that emotional side of the skin firsthand, I think you develop a much deeper level of empathy for your clients. And it just gives you that persistence and perseverance, and you're able to help encourage other people to have that same philosophy.
Absolutely. And it makes you more relatable, I think, from a trust perspective as a patient when you've lived what they've lived.
Yeah, 100%. Yep, definitely.
And when you were looking for products, for treatments, there's so many different lifestyle factors and obviously sometimes, there's limitations, barriers financially. What were your biggest frustrations when you were looking for a treatment and a product?
Yeah, I think the biggest frustration was often feeling like I was treating the symptoms rather than understanding the actual causes. And there was so much conflicting information and, so many promises. And back in the 80s and the 90s, like what I experienced, doctors just handed out pills. And they still do, but now we have, more alternative options, and the technology at the fingertips has definitely helped people in this space.
So true. And if there was just a one quick fix or tablet or cream that we could use to fix some of the various skin conditions, it would be wonderful. But that seems to not ever be the case.
No, definitely not. No. It's definitely multifaceted, I believe, Nicole. Yeah.
And with that, with there being so many different complex layers and facets, how do you educate yourself, and how do you educate those that you work with?
Yeah, look, I think that's why I'm really passionate with the education space with SQT. And I teach practitioners to look at the whole picture. So SQT isn't a one-dimensional thing. It's a multifaceted approach. And we need to educate clients honestly, manage their expectations, also understanding that lasting results require both the customer commitment alongside that genuine therapist who can actually educate their client rather than just a pushy cosmetic salesperson.
No one likes a pushy salesperson in any industry.
No, unfortunately, that's what they're all taught to do. So that's one thing I do pride myself on. I always have done in my own clinic. And that's what I try and educate the therapists coming on board with SQT with that same philosophy.
Yes, you are right. And there seems to be, I think it's a lot better now, but historically there's been that extreme where you're either really salesy or not at all, and I think I was at my hairdresser recently, and I was asking about, new conditioner or treatment to use at home or whatnot. And I said, why don't you put the products out like some do, where they put the product in front of you that they used, and they'll sort of offer to talk about, oh, no, I'm so traumatized from my apprenticeship. I don't want to sell to anyone. If someone wants to buy product, they'll ask, or they'll go and get it off the shelf. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe I kind of did want you to tell me about it.
Yeah. I'm the same in my clinic. I think, I've really pared it back to the bare minimal, and I'll always ask someone, what are you using at home? If I feel that it's not impeding on their success with their skin, I just say, look, let's leave it at that. Let's keep finishing what you're using if it's not creating anything problematic. And then we can look at slowly changing and transitioning you into a better brand, better products, but something that's going to be more ingredient suitable for your skin.
Yes, absolutely. And I think when you're younger, it's very hard to say no, and it can be a little bit confrontational. But as you get older, now I'm not interested in learning about something new today, or I'd love to hear what you have to say. And I'm quite
definitely
direct and more concise. And what does SQT stand for? Does it stand for anything?
Yeah, it stands for Spirited Quintessential Transcend. So it's got some really powerful meanings behind the acronym alongside the hummingbird. If you research up what the hummingbird means, it's got some very powerful meanings behind it. And a lot of people resonate with it. A clinic that came on in Perth, I was actually talking with her yesterday, and the hummingbird's actually her logo on her clinic. So yeah, it definitely feels very aligned with those who see the hummingbird and know that special meaning.
And what inspired you to establish SQT?
Yeah, my favourite question. So seeing a huge gap in the market, and there were plenty of products being sold, but not enough education, support, or even genuine partnerships with clinics. And lastly, like the results that were so minimal. They were ablative treatments that were compromising the skin health and the barriers. So I wanted to build something bigger than just a treatment. I wanted to create this community of where practitioners felt really supported and also quite confident in what they were doing. And a brand new way of reaching skin goals, both biologically and holistically. So SQT definitely ticks a lot of boxes with our therapists Australia-wide.
And how does education play a part in SQT?
Yeah, so look, it's, I guess, going back to that multifaceted approach, and SQT is a clinical treatment, as I mentioned. It's not just something that we can give a box to anyone, because there's risks of damaging the skin, or there's risks of not performing the treatment correctly. And they're not getting the desired results. So the education is super important for me, but mostly that support that we give I don't know if you've ever experienced it, Nicole. You likely would have, but when you sign up to be partner with somebody and then you need to reach out for questions after you've done your training, it could be a day, it could be weeks or months, and that support just disappears or was never there to begin with. So with SQT, if you have a look at our 5-star Google reviews, you'll see that, everyone raves about the support. And we do hold those monthly Zoom meetings as well, just continuing that education in the space. And we do hold very specific certified bi-monthly meetings. And each bi-month, we do discuss a different topic in the skin and how SQT can support that, whether it be around acne, pigmentation, aging, menopausal skin, comparing SQT versus as well ablative treatments. So that education is so critical.
I love that so much. And I see it in the difference in certain companies who consider themselves to be very educational focused compared to other companies who are like, oh, unless you spend a certain amount, we don't really have the time for you.
Yep. And the thing with us is we don't have any commitment like forced ongoing orders or quantities per month. It's order as you go. Everyone's at a different pace in their business. So we truly, obviously we encourage them, let's get it out there, because we know that the more treatments they do, it's the more lives they're changing.
Yes. Yeah. That's beautiful. And I'm guessing it wasn't, you woke up one day, decided to start SQT, and the next day you've got a thriving business. Can you tell us about some of the lessons, the challenges, the triumphs on your journey to get to where you are today?
Yeah, wow. It's a bit of a journey. I wish I had a little scrapbook, actually. So it's definitely the education. But the biggest challenge, I would say, biomicroneedling was completely new to the industry, Nicole, when we started 4 years ago. Not one single person had heard of biomicroneedling. And still to this day, some of our inquiries are still very entry-level basic knowledge. So we had to educate the market here in Australia basically from the ground up. So as I mentioned, we still hold those monthly discovery sessions where we can cover the fundamentals of microneedling. So I'd have to say definitely the biggest challenges were the education and getting it out there and explaining to people, look, there's a new and revolutionary way. There's a paradigm shift with how we're treating skin, and this is it. So I guess with now over 650 or 640 something clinics in Australia that we've trained now, word's definitely getting out there. There's also other brands coming into the market recently over the last sort of 12 to 18 months. So when people are copying what you're doing, you're doing something right.
Oh, I love that positive attitude.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it hasn't been easy. It's definitely perseverance and persistence. But I believe I was born for that. I didn't have the easiest life growing up. So, it's definitely taught me to be really resilient, and then running SQT and mentoring so many people, and having that leadership role is definitely, ensured that I've stepped into those boots of what I learned as a young child, going through different family struggles and challenges. It's definitely made me a lot more robust and resilient.
Resilience it's one of those qualities that is so admirable, and yet something that you really can't teach anybody.
No. You can lead a horse to water, Nicole, but you cannot make them drink. And I think I say that at least half a dozen times a day.
I love that. And
that's number 2 today.
And when did you realise that SQT, had the potential to be something bigger in Australia?
Well, it's a beautiful question, because I actually knew before I even started, Nicole, and before that scaffolding realization, it was actually seeing clinic after clinic achieve these incredible client outcomes and business growth. And when practitioners message me on the daily reporting that SQT has transformed their confidence, their profits, client retention, and I realized we were creating something much bigger than just that treatment. We were changing the way that we actually approach skin rejuvenation. And it was all without the ablative measures and the $100,000 devices. I know some companies don't like me saying that, but without the harsh chemicals and acids, it was via this tiny little microscopic needle-like structure that literally looks like powder to the naked eye that gets hand pressed into the skin. And it still blows my mind away thinking about it.
Wow. And for those of us who don't know what microneedling is, the biomicroneedling, can you explain to us how it differs from the traditional method and what it actually is?
Yes. Yep. So biomicroneedling uses natural freshwater spicules, well, the SQT ones are natural freshwater. And rather than using the mechanical needles to stimulate skin regeneration, and also instead of using 200,000 microchannels that we get in traditional needling, we create 3 million. And most impressively, we've got a 72-hour stimulation window. So what makes us unique is that it offers practitioners that alternative approach to skin revision while delivering super incredible outcomes across a broad range of concerns, which is why I believe so many clinics are embracing it. As I mentioned, we've got over 650 clinics alone now in Australia, but it is an all-inclusive treatment where we can do it on all Fitzpatrick skin types, whether you're Fitzpatrick 1 or 6, and all skin conditions. So it's very inclusive. Gone are the days where your client turns up, they've got acne-prone skin or active acne, and we can't actually start on them with microneedling. We've got to look at repairing the barrier, sending them home with a whole list of products. With SQT, we can jump straight into treating their skin. And the same goes with microneedling with pigmentation. I did many PRF microneedling was my signature treatment before bringing SQT in. We just weren't hitting the results with pigmentation either. So it's definitely replaced how we treat a lot of, the skin concerns. And I think that's why it's been such a hit all around the world, not just in Australia.
And what is a spicule?
So a spicule is a siliceous biological needle extracted from a sponge. So as I mentioned before, we use freshwater sponges. So they get they get extracted from their environment. So ours is a marine lake. It's grown in a national park environment. It's then put into far infrared drying oven, vertical drying oven for 60 hours, and then they meticulously extract the siliceous spicules from the sponge.
Goodness me. And what does this do? Can you feel the spicule?
Yeah, absolutely. So we hand press the spicules into the skin. The application time takes approximately 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit less depending on the client's skin, but we teach all that in our training. And then they're just pressed into the skin through hand techniques, and they're in there for up to 72 hours. So you'll feel it if you press the skin. While you're resting, you're not pulling any expressions or doing anything crazy on your face. You don't feel it, but it's when you press the skin, you can feel that stimulation ongoing.
So in that 72-hour window, you're ideally not touching your face, not doing anything, or are you continuing to apply product in that 72 hours?
Yeah, so in our kits, we give a special take-home serum. So according to their skin concerns, so if they've got pigmentation issues, we'll send them home with brightening serums, and they're botanically and naturally derived as well. So in the revitalizing set, which is our brightening set, which we use to improve pigmentation-prone skins, we've got tranexamic acid, pomegranate extract, licorice root extract. The hydrolyzed sponge is always the core ingredient. But yeah, so what's happening is those little spicules act like delivery mechanisms in the skin. They are a hollow structure and they're made of like a mesh. So if you look at them under a microscope, they do look like a little straw. So what's happening is they're delivering all those ingredients deeper down into the lower layers of the skin much more effectively. So it's allowing for that more rapid absorption and uptake of your skincare and your actives that you use after the treatment. That 72-hour window is quite critical. You're not putting anything else apart from the SQT recovery serum. And then you're splashing your face with water for the next 2 days, and then applying your serum morning and night. And that all starts the day after your treatment.
So effectively, you've got little micro channels happening.
Yeah, 3 million microchannels, which is fantastic because traditional microneedling, even medical grade, we can get no more than about 200,000. So it's like microneedling on steroids, but it's liquid microneedling, not using a device or any mechanical needles.
So do you still have the same downtime as a heavy device or needles?
Well, it depends, I guess, on the depth of the traditional needling. If it's a more medical grade that gives you that real degree of spice and burn and peeling potentially, it's also going to depend on the client's pre-skin health. So if they're using a lot of actives, they're doing regular treatments, we would typically see less downtime. So I personally don't shed on any of my SQT treatments because I keep my skin well maintained. But for those clients who aren't looking after their skin as well and may not be using actives or doing regular treatments, we can see some quite copious amounts of shedding. Doesn't happen with everyone, and it doesn't mean that you're getting a result or better than someone who does peel. But yeah, it's just that so that mechanical exfoliation is happening. So it's that desquamation. I know for me, when I wash my face, I can feel the little beads of skin, but I don't actually see the sheets peeling off like some people. So it definitely depends on your therapist's pressure, the length of time that you're pressing the microneedles in. But I think the key important thing is that 72-hour regeneration window. When we needle with traditional needles, the stimulation happens there and then during that half an hour window, let's say, of needling, whereas this is ongoing for 72 hours.
And
so there is a bit of spiciness. During the treatment, all of our clients generally remain at around about a 2 or maximum 3 in discomfort out of 10, which is really comfortable. And the first thing my clients say to me is, oh my goodness, this is so much more comfortable than traditional needling without the numbing cream. So it's definitely more comfortable during, but there is that little bit of spice afterwards, that heat, that little bit of that sunburnt feel.
Interesting. And is there any skin conditions or concerns that excite you the most that oh, wow, this person's going to get a really great result?
Yeah, so definitely I love dealing with pigment, scarring, acne and aging skin. They're kind of like our core, and I think pigmentation here in Australia is probably the most popular alongside aging for my particular clientele because of the age bracket that I'm seeing. But then I've got some other clinics that are, work a lot with scarring or active acne. So they'll be ordering more of our other set, which is a resurfacing set. So we do have 5 sets in total, so nobody misses out. And they're in quite very simple, easy to use boxes. There's no, I've got to grab this product and then mix it with this and then mix it with this solution. It's all in the one box. So you just look at your client's skin in your consult, assess what they need. You can change your protocols up as often as you like. We always know, skin changes as frequent as the weather or as the environment we're in, our, hormonal cycles. So the clients don't have to be restrictive on one particular set that they use. I've got clients that will come in and will be treating pigmentation or improving the pigment. And then on their next treatment round, they might come in with a bit of a breakout. So we can switch the sets. Our anti-aging set's amazing because most people get their skin to that beautiful level where they're happy with their results. They've gotten rid of their skin concerns, whether it be pigment, acne, scarring. They've got that now at a level that they're quite happy with and content with. And then we might switch them on to an anti-aging as like the skin booster. But I think the thing is the question is there's nothing we don't really see success with, right? It can, and transepidermal water loss, that's another one, like that's a huge one. And after 3 SQT biomicroneedling sessions, we've actually used certain measuring parameters within the skin on one of our Polish doctors. And they've measured that the dermis of the thin skin increased by 8.1%. in thickness. And I'm perfect testament to that because I do get dysport twice a year. And I went and saw my doctor about 4 weeks ago back in Sydney when I was there last. And when he was, doing the little dysport injections in the skin, it felt like the needle was sticking. And I have felt this probably the last 2-3 times, right? Because I've been quite regular with my treatments with SQT, especially over the last 3 years. And just as I was thinking that, he actually said to me, "Oh, Renee, your skin's really thick. To look at it, it doesn't feel it, but it's where the needle's going down to, to that past the dermis. It's actually feeling like the needle's sticking a little bit. Didn't create any extra pain, but you could feel it, like, because I'm very in tune with my skin. So yeah, it's interesting to know. It definitely does work as far as thickening the dermis."
Goodness, that is so interesting and so cool.
Definitely innovative on another level.
And I mean, goodness, as a clinic owner, and I'm sure doing cosmetic tattooing, you've seen so many trends and fads come and go that we all get really excited about. I was talking to someone the other day about lashes. We used to see everyone with these crazy long lashes and they've started to really die off now. But what would you say, or how does SQT separate from the fads and, genuine innovation that's going to last the test of time?
Yeah, look, I probably ask a few questions, and that is there science behind it? Can practitioners achieve those consistent results? And will it also still be around in 5 years' time? So innovation solves the problem, but trends create this temporary excitement. And I think the two aren't always the same thing. So it's really important to just distinguish the difference between it.
So true, goodness. And it's so hard for clinic owners. I mean, I'm sure everyone at some point, I know I have invested in something that in hindsight, you're like, oh gosh, why did I have this? And I've worked in clinics where, we had a device that was used as a towel dryer. We just, like, it became a clothesline.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it. I've witnessed clinics buying $100,000+ machines, and I won't mention what they are. And it's sat there, and SQT has actually paid off those devices. And they're just like, what a waste of money. I'm paying $400 a week to pay the device off or the machine, and it's not making me any income, and I'm not getting the results from it. So yeah, it can be quite frustrating. That's why I don't have any devices. Yeah.
Absolutely. And obviously education is really important because, those practitioners out there that are doing these treatments feel really confident, but they're also able to sell the treatment competently. And education is clearly a passion for you. What are the biggest gaps that you see in the industry when it comes to education provided by companies and distributors?
Biggest gap, Nicole, is definitely the ongoing support. Many practitioners, they'll attend a course, receive the certificate, and then they're left on their own. We also need, I think, stronger education around consultations, client communication, business management, and most importantly, critical thinking. Treatment protocols on their own don't create a successful business. It's the business owner who's committed to looking at all those things. But yeah, critical thinking is definitely the top on my list.
And when you become a stockist or a user of the SQT system, how does that onboarding and support happen?
Yeah, so there's 3 phases of the onboarding. So they have a chat with Penny, who's our BDM. You met Penny. She's lovely, great. I never have a bad feedback or a bad word about her. And she's my sister, but anyway, we'll leave that out. But it's good because I can be quite ruthless with her. I can say, pull your socks up. Come on, girl, let's get things moving, or let's do it this way. I am the big sister, which plays a really good, positive role as well. But the first phase of the onboarding is once they come on, they get access to our restricted Google Drive. And within that Google Drive, we've got a full plethora of spicules particular education, printable workbooks. They do it their own pace, which takes about 2 hours. So they could do it 11 o'clock at night, during the day, around their kids, around their business structure, which works perfect. Then what we do is we book them into practical training with myself. We can do that online or face-to-face, depending on the location of the clinic. And then the third phase, Nicole, is our ongoing support. So there is three phases.
And how do you, with that ongoing support, if a clinic is struggling or has a high turnover, because I know sometimes for distributors especially, that can be really challenging when you've invested so much time and effort to educate a team, and then all of a sudden, half the team or one person from the team has changed and you've got to do it all over again and again. How do you mitigate and manage that?
Yeah, so quite easily. Even with my ADHD brain, I do manage it really well. You're right. Like, I've got messages and emails flying at me. Oh, Renee, does this look normal? Does that look normal? And most of it's already in their training guides, right, on that Google Drive. But sometimes I think they just want reassurance from myself directly, because I have built that relationship with them. So I would just say, look, yes, a little bit of redness, erythema, it's all really normal. Some people can just have that little bit of a delayed response, but that inflammatory response is great, means the skin's doing what it needs to, the body's doing its thing. So just having that nurturing from myself. But basically, I guess with having that thorough Google Drive with everything they need to know about spicules, and I've set it out in a format that's really easy to understand. So I've got slideshow pictures with me talking in the background, with little demonstration videos. So that way they're not only looking but writing. Then they do a bit of a quiz at the end, and then we reconfirm everything through practical. But with the support as well, we've also, I'm pretty much always available. I shouldn't say 24/7, but it feels like it. But if a clinic does bring on new staff members, or if they have a changeover, I'm holding so many Zoom training sessions during the week. So even we've just had one last week. We had a South Australian clinic. He sold the business to another lady. She wanted to just have that refresher training, even though the training videos were quite in depth. So we get them on, they bring in a model. We've got the video up nice and close. So we will tag them onto another training session that's already booked. And we normally can have anywhere between 3 and 7 a week on average. So they don't miss out. And all of our clinics are welcome to jump onto those training sessions at any time, if they need a refresher, if they've got new staff.
Goodness me, there's so much. It's incredible. I'm actually baffled as to how you and your team manage all of these. As a successful founder, an educator, industry leader, and a mother of 3, how on earth do you balance all of these responsibilities and be available pretty much 24/7 if it's not for clients, for your team and your family? And my goodness, we just work so hard.
Yeah, it definitely is. And some days are better than others, but every day definitely is a challenge regardless. And I've learned balance shouldn't be about the perfection, but it's about priorities. And that's a hard one for me with the OCD and the ADHD. But I guess strong systems and, delegating and having those boundaries and just being present wherever I am, that's, quite key. Oh, and not to mention, and a few people will laugh at this, but I've still got a notepad or a little book and a pencil and a little rubber. That's my whole life's on that. I don't like the IT things, but yeah, it's definitely can be challenging.
Well, I think you must be an incredible role model for your children. And, my goodness, watching you and being around you must be so inspiring, giving them such an amazing work ethic. Where does this constant drive to do more come from?
Look, I as I mentioned before, Nicole, I haven't had an easy life, so that resilience was always paramount to my survival, basically. But leadership in itself taught me how to handle more of it, and just having those difficult conversations, the necessarily growth can be uncomfortable. But sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come through after those toughest challenges. But I now embrace them and say, God, bring on another challenge. I'm ready for it. But definitely, resilience, perseverance, consistency.
And I don't know if age plays a factor in it, but there's a lot of women out there. And I love when I see someone who's younger doing what you've done. But we trade time for money. We feel like everything bigger, or that gives you a little bit more freedom will be too hard, or you don't have enough capital, or there's always a barrier, an excuse or a reason. But I'm sure there's lots of people out there who do dream about bigger things and being a distributor or owning their own product. What advice would you give them to step into those founder shoes?
The biggest advice is believe in yourself. That's the first and foremost. You don't need permission. You don't need to have all the answers right then and there, and you don't need to wait until you're ready. And that moment will never come if you're waiting. And that's when I would use the big F word, and that's failure. If you're waiting and waiting and waiting, it's never going to happen. And start before you actually feel ready, and just trust in yourself to figure it out along the way. Life's no dress rehearsal, Nicole. We only get one shot.
Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. One of my other favorite sayings, alongside leading the horse to water and not making them drink.
Yeah. It's so true, though. You are right. And I guess we just take things for granted and think, she'll be right, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not right. No, jump in. Dive in. Don't even jump in. Just dive in head first, and you will figure it out along the way. Things can be rebuilt. Things can be restored. It's a journey of growth. And as I mentioned, those challenges definitely help push you to make better decisions next time if it hasn't been a great decision.
Yes. Oh, I love this so much. And looking ahead, what does the future hold for SQT or the aesthetics industry? Where do you see everything going?
Yeah. Yes, I see many things happening, and I think a stronger focus on skin health, regenerative aesthetics. I think we're hearing that word a little bit now, and natural looking outcomes as well. Greater compliance, education standards, technology and AI in aesthetics supporting clinics. I only found AI probably about 3-4 months ago, so it's been incredible. But also clients are becoming more educated, and they're demanding better outcomes, greater transparency. I definitely think, we're moving forward in the right direction, but supporting each other get there, I think is also key.
And what does success look like for you? When will there be a point where you'll go, you know what, I've made it? Or do you feel that you're there now?
No, I will never feel there. And that's part of the key, right? I don't ever get complacent. It's that drive, that continual, let's go. Come on, what's next? And a lot of people say, Renee, just stop and relax, smell the roses. And for me, it's like, if I was sitting here in time, celebrating success, right? It would be me seeing thousands more SQT practitioners thriving because of my mentoring, education, and the support that I've also provided. But personally, success means knowing that we've created this long-lasting legacy, one built on integrity, excellence. And if practitioners immediately associate SQT with the highest standard of biomicroneedling education and those incredible clinical outcomes, then I know that I've done my job. But most importantly, it's seeing the continued growth in clinics and how we've changed lives both for the practitioner and the client of the practitioner as well.
Yes, so rewarding. And before we wrap up, I'd love to do some rapid fire questions. So rapid fire basically just means that whatever comes to mind first is the answer. There's no right or wrong answer. So to start off, are you ready?
Yeah, go.
What's one business book, podcast, movie that everyone should watch or read or listen to?
Not specifically to business, but life in itself, which teaches us about systems, definitely Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto.
And what's one habit that continues to most contribute to your success?
Perseverance.
And best piece of advice you've ever received?
Better to have failed plans than to have left your plans sitting in the drawer.
Biggest mistake clinic owners make?
Oh, chasing trends, buying more instead of mastering what they already have.
Yes. One thing every aesthetic practitioner should focus on in 2026, 7 and beyond.
Education and client retention.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
And what's next for SQT and Renée? Where will we see you next?
Yeah, just continuing to grow, elevate, innovate, influence, and creating impact in the aesthetics industry, Nicole.
Fabulous. And Renée, I believe you are going to be at Beauty Expo.
We are, definitely. Don't quote me on the stand number because every year it changes. This will be our 4th year running at the Beauty Expo, but we will be near the cafeteria on a corner stand. You won't be able to miss us. Look for the blue, white, and the hummingbird.
Definitely will be looking out for you and saying hello. And what has, how has the company and your team and yourself evolved since doing your first Beauty Expo?
Yeah, look, as I mentioned before, like just the first day we walked in on the Friday in the bump in and we were like, right, let's fly down. No, sorry, it was the Thursday. Penny and I were like, we've got to stay 5 days and we've got to get everything set up, and we're really meticulously planned. Like everything was super planned. And walking into that bump in on I'm sure it was the Thursday afternoon or maybe the Friday, and seeing nothing set up and seeing everything like flat on the ground and thinking, how are these guys going to put up our stand in the next 24 hours? Like I never forget thinking that, but just seeing like we were the only people there, and we did get chased out by security, a bit of a funny story, because we didn't know. We found a door and just walked straight in. We didn't know we had to have the high-vis vests and whatnot. So the security found us and kicked us out. They were very nice. We said, sorry, it's our first expo. Please, like, what do we need to do? Even though I have always broken the rules, right, in my life. But yeah, very pivotal memory. And we put our high-vis vests on, but just it was almost like I could close my eyes and hear the noise and feel the hustle and the bustle of people walking around and the chit-chat and, you know, the educations and the lives. It was almost like I could picture it. And I could see us, you know, at the stand, and I've still got the photos I took of the stand that wasn't erected yet. But moving into now the expos that we show up for, we know to get our high vis at the start, and we're a lot more relaxed. I think, like we yeah, whatever, it's going to happen. It's all good. Yeah, we'll get them to change the shelving. So a little bit more relaxed, unless Penny breaks one of our banners because her height's not as tall as mine. So she did break a banner on us last year. And I'm like, we're sitting there taping it at 11 o'clock at night before opening the next day. So it's definitely taught us that, yeah, just to be chilled, laid back. It is what it is. It's all going to fall into place.
It would be so wonderful to see a social post of your years.
Yeah, I'll have to do it. I think, Nicole, I'm not that good with technology, but I'll have to get something happening.
Yeah,
you're right.
Well, you can just put the photos up as a carousel, one year after another. And I mean, gosh, I think a while back Instagram did a thing where everyone was posting their 10 years, the photo from 10 years prior, and then, you know, today. You could do a little 4-year journey, which would be so cool to see how the company has evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for the advice. I'll definitely have a look at that because Penny and I have a lot of photos, yeah, and videos. Yeah.
How fantastic. And are you going to be on any of the stages?
Yeah, so on this Saturday around lunchtime, if you look at the directory, there is we've got the beauty live stage. And we're also, for those of you who know him, he's a molecular biologist. He's actually one of the SQT partners over in Ireland. We're actually flying him out here to give an educational speech on the main beauty educational stage on the Sunday. And I think that's around 2 o'clock. So, and that'll be incredible. He'll be talking about the role of spicules, not necessarily SQT, but just the role of spicules in the skin and the function of them, and the process of the spicule and how it works. So just on more of a science-based level, or from the eyes of a molecular biologist. So his name's Kamil Szymanski, and he owns Phoenix Biomedical in Ireland. If you want to start following him, he's great. He's actually phased out 95% of his ablative treatments, and just purely has SQT now in his clinic. Yeah, so but definitely don't miss that if you can. Come and join us, and he'll be floating around our stand as well, helping us out.
He sounds incredible. And is it coincidental that you both have these iconic birds, the phoenix and the phoenix rising?
I know, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I definitely think, stars align and there's energies, frequencies. I definitely believe in that. So, yeah, I think it's all connected. I believe it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. This has been so much fun, Renée. Thank you so much for your time, and can't wait to see you at Expo. We'll definitely be coming past and seeing you and watching the lives and the presentations, and can't wait to see. Well, I'm sure you're an expert now. You're a pro at Expo, but it's a full-on weekend. It's exhausting. So
yeah. It is, yeah. I say to Penny, don't book me any trainings on the Monday. I just need a day to chill and relax. And I don't. The day after Expo is my busiest day, I think, of the year. But yeah, we get there.
We've got to follow up all the leads. I mean, the hundreds of leads you're both going to accumulate over the weekend. You have to have a holiday. By Christmas, you can stop and rest.
I'm actually going to New Zealand for the first time on the 20th of August. I've got 3 boys under 12, so I'm taking the younger 2 to New Zealand. They want to go there and see the snow. So that's going to be my little week break, although I've got a feeling at midnight I'm going to be up doing, admin and bits and pieces coming off the last week prior of being at the expo.
Oh, New Zealand's so beautiful, and how wonderful to stop and spend time with the children before they get too old that they don't want to go on holidays with you.
Now, I'll drive them, Nicole, and be like, you don't have a choice in the matter. Get your backside on that plane. Yeah.
Oh, that's me with my eldest.
I'm thankfully I've got a really good relationship with my kids, and I hope it stays that way.
Oh, I'm sure it will. And I can't thank you enough for your time today.
Thank you very much, Nicole. My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Renée, thank you so much for joining us today. Your journey is a fantastic example of how passion, education, innovation, and resilience can come together to create meaningful change in our industry. I know our listeners will take away valuable insights from your experiences building SQT Australia, supporting practitioners, and helping elevate standards throughout the aesthetics profession. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. And to our listeners, thank you for listening to the Aesthetic Business Masters podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this conversation with your colleagues and industry friends. To learn more about Renée and SQT Australia, visit sqtaustralia.com.au. You'll find all episodes of the Aesthetic Business Masters podcast at aestheticbusinessmasters.com.au/podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep mastering your aesthetic business.